Hey, welcome to Mike's Trains, and thanks for joining me for another video. I decided to do the a little bit more into the doing the building back here, doing the video for this. But I just wanted to give you a look at the gas pumps and how they're kind of looking at this point. These are all done now, and you can see, hopefully it shows, I added the gas pump hoses right here on all of the pumps, and then of course we have the roof on top, the rusted roof. So that's all done, and I think it's looking pretty good. Let me give you a look at what the original station looked like before we get into the the building here, and this is the building. So let's take a look at the first building, the first original look of how that came out. So as you can see, the original building, the awning over the gas pumps was very crooked. The paint wasn't also great. And you can see in the building, I'm not sure if it shows or not, but the windows are not actually straight in the building. Everything just looks messed up, right? So these are one of the big reasons why I wanted to redo this building. So now looking at the new building, or the redone building, now I know I didn't do video for the painting of it. I may do the next building and show the painting on that. The next thing I'm going to do, only because there's a lot going on with that. But this building here, you can see I've stripped it down. I totally stripped it down, and then I repainted it. So let me go quick into how I repainted that. And these are not stickers along the front, those are airbrushed on there. And then the lettering are decals. I had some red decals to put on there. So that's what that is. So what I did was I didn't necessarily strip the whole building down, but I took a Q-tip, and the old gray stripe that went along the bottom of the building, I took some lacquer thinner and a Q-tip, and I wiped off all the gray stripe around it and any heavy paint that was along the outside. After that, I took some like 400 grit sandpaper, and I just smoothed it all out. And then I went back and I filled in all these corner joints, which I never did originally. So now you can see that the corner joints, you don't see the ends of the styrene. It's just a nice clean corner. Okay, and then when I pulled out the windows, and this I couldn't have shown on video anyway, this front window here broke into several pieces, and it had to be glued back together and then carefully put back into place, and now it's in. The frames on this building here, these window frames are extremely fragile, so it didn't take much to break them. So, you know, lesson learned. If you do it right the first time, you don't have to worry about that, right? So anyway, this is how it's looking now. So first I did a good coat of primer, gray primer, inside and outside, all right, without the sidewalk on here. Good coat of gray primer. The gray primer showed me where I needed to fill on the corners here, to fill in all these seams down here, all four corners, and I filled that all in, primered it again, and then I went back and I sprayed the whole building flat white. Okay, and when that dried, I went back and I taped off the whole building except for this area at the bottom where the gray stripe's gonna go. So I taped all the way down to here, up, and then I sprayed the gray stripe. Then when that was done, I peeled off all the tape, and then I went back and I taped all the way around, right up along this front line here, right underneath this strip right here, right along here, all the way around the building. Then I went across the top all the way around. Okay, and then I taped off where I wanted. I actually sprayed the yellow all the way out to here, and then on the side I had taped off, so I put a strip of tape going up here and here, and then I sprayed the full yellow stripe. Then when that stripe was dried, I came back and then I taped off the yellow, leaving everything taped still. I just took and I ran some tape from right here, from this point all the way back, and I covered up all the yellow, and then I sprayed the red stripe. Okay, and then I came back in with the red decals and added those to the front. And then the windows, because they were broken, doesn't really show on here, thank goodness. This piece broke completely out, this one broke out, another one cracked off in the middle. So all that had to be glued back together, and once it was glued back together, then I set these in 90% alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and I stripped off as much of the old paint as I could without getting too aggressive with rubbing them and sanding them and stuff. I didn't want to sand them. Once they were cleaned off and dried, I came back with the same color from the gray stripe down here, and I sprayed the window frames on I stuck them to a piece of tape and laid them into my spray booth, and I sprayed all of the windows that same color, all the windows and doors. Once that dried, then I was able to put the windows back into place. All right, so that's the whole process for that. And then the sidewalk here, this again is the same sidewalk I use on my train station. I use it in my cities. I did the same thing that I always do, except it's a full piece. You can see here it's just a full piece, so there's a lot of squares under here. You can see them. Well, they don't really show inside except for right here through this hole. Because this building has a base on it already, you can't really see it, but there it is. So I did it so that I have one row of squares showing here and one square here. Now the building mathematically doesn't work out so it's a full square all the way across. So this square here is a little smaller than the others, right? So it's maybe 2/3 of a square as opposed to a full square. But that's okay, you don't really notice it. So I left that in there, and then before I glued this piece to this piece, I beveled over this cut edge right here, so that when I did put them together, you got that same kind of gap between this sidewalk part and this sidewalk part, and this one, it's all the same. It carries through. And then I put the 40 thousandths by 40 thousandths square stock along the front edge here. And then I painted as well the curb this same dark gray that I did the stripe with. And then when all that was done, I came back and I clear coated the whole thing with flat clear. And the reason for that is that all of these different colors and finishes on here all have it, not everything was flat, okay? So the building was flat white. These had sort of a semi-gloss, the colored parts here had sort of a semi-gloss look to them. The lettering were decals, of course, so you could sort of kind of see them. If the light hit them right, you could tell they were decals. The gray had sort of a sheen to it. The windows had sort of a sheen to them. So in taking and clear coating in flat clear, it makes everything uniform. Now you can't see anything. Everything looks the same. There's no shines where they shouldn't be, and it looks even. So at this point that we're at, now we can start the interior, okay? And that's where we're going to start for today. All right, so now we've got this building just flat on the bench, and let's look at a little bit of this interior here. We have a couple things to deal with in here. This hole right here is the hole that I cut originally to light this building. So I had one of those sticky lights, and I stuck it down to the table, and I just set the building over it. Voila, it's lit. Okay, and that's how that worked. I'm not happy with that. After everything I've done on, you know, all these other buildings, my train station, the roundhouse, and the strip mall, this ain't gonna work anymore. Okay. And then this hole, I couldn't even begin to guess why I drilled that hole. But all this needs to go away. Now I'm not going to fill this hole. There's no point. It's inside the building. I just need to cover it. So what I have is I have some of this. This is another flooring I made. If you remember from the strip mall, I showed you how to make these floorings, and then I clear coated gloss over the sticker paper. Alright, so now we have a nice shiny floor to put down inside this building. And you can see right here, it's a nice tile pattern, right? Very shiny. And this is gonna look nice, and it's gonna do wonders for reflecting the light that goes inside the building. So why don't we stick this down inside, and we'll move on from there. So peel the backing, and then we'll stick this right inside here. There. Now, when you look inside here, we have no holes anywhere in here. I didn't fill the hole in, and this will be just fine. And to be honest, I won't tell if you don't that there's a hole under there. So we'll leave that be. And then when you look in the windows, just like the strip mall, you get the nice tile floor through the doors. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. Now, I spent the afternoon today, and I built all the inside parts that go in here. So here's what I have. I have 2 freezer / refrigerator cases. Okay, so you go into, you know, whatever gas station you're going to go to, they sell drinks and whatevers. So there's one. And here's another one. Now these are going to go down this wall here and this wall right here, just like that. Alright, so now we have our refrigerated cases in here. Then I made this. This is the coffee / beverage area where you can fill your drinks from the drink fountain. Okay. And what it is, what I've done, and you can see it's a full dimensional thing here. And what I did was I went and found an image. I did a Google search for convenience store coffee counter, or whatever you want to call it. I did a search like that, and I found a nice little thing that I liked, and it had the bottom of the cabinet, the whole wall section, and then the upper half. And what I did was I cut the image off at the countertop, and we have the block of wood, and I put the under counter part right here. Okay, then I put 10,000 styrene on the back side of the block. You can kind of see how that's going here. Then I added a countertop, and then I added the image right onto the wall. So that gives us sort of a dimensional countertop with using the photo backdrop stuff. So then that is going to fit right inside the back right there. Okay, so now we have the refrigerated cases, we have the coffee soda bar, whatever. Now next, from this, just like I did in the strip mall, I have the block of wood here. And then I took, actually there's the same images from the strip mall, and they're the grocery store shelving. And I wrapped them around the wood, and I made sure to cover both ends this time, because you have a view, line of sight through the front window and also the side window. And I'm not exactly 100% sure where this is going to go on the layout. Maybe I won't see this side, maybe I will, but I'm not taking any chances. So we cover both ends, and then I have one that goes right here, And these are a scale 6 foot high, right? Because convenience store shelving is not that tall. And then I made a second one. Same images, doesn't matter. And then that one goes right here. Okay. So now we have 2 of those. Now the last thing to make for this was the cashier's counter where you pay. Okay, and I wanted that to be right in this front section here, and that usually covers these 3 windows and then the windows on the side. So what I did, I took that same wood that I used for all of these things and I made an L shape out of it, and then I took 10,000 styrene and I made a countertop, and then that is gonna fit right in here like that. And that, my friends, is my interior for this building. So let me get this stuff put in. And oh, I also want to say I'm not using CA to glue any of this stuff down. There's one big reason for that. Okay, I'm going to put the windows in first, which is going to be one long strip of clear plastic here and then a shorter one here. If you put CA after the windows are in, if I put CA into all this stuff, the CA will fog the plastic up. Okay, we can't have that, right? You don't want that. You'd spend all this time and then you put it all together in the CA and then your windows fog up and you can't see in anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this stuff. This is Formula 560. This is the same glue I used to put the glass in. It will not fog the glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake this up real good. I'm going to put some on a little piece of paper, and actually I can put one in right now. So here's what we're going to do. We get a little piece of paper here and shake this up. I'm just going to do one because we have to come back. I still have to put, if you look down in here, this hole right here, that's there for a reason. That's not an accident. All right, down in the bottom here in the floor, I'm going to drill a hole, big hole, probably the size of this square, and that's where the wiring for the lighting is going to run down, because we can't have wiring out inside of here. So let's get the first piece of this put in and put a little bit down there. And it's probably better, I'm not going to do it, but it's probably better if I let this stuff start to dry up a little bit so that it gets thicker, because this stuff's really actually kind of thin. So we'll start with this piece right here, because this piece I know I'm not changing and I don't need to get into. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bunch of this glue and I'm just going to coat the back of this. And then take some tweezers, because my fingers are too fat, and then we'll drop this right down into place like that. Now again, like I said, the glue is kind of thin here, so it's probably better, and what I usually do is pull it out like this and I'll let it sit 5 minutes or so, and just let it thicken up a little bit and then stick stuff in there. See, now you can see that's stuck in there pretty good, and then that's going to take about an hour or so to dry up solid. But right now I want to go back and I want to drill the hole that's going to go right down here. Okay. There, now you can see the hole, and this is more than surely going to run right through there without any trouble. Just like that. Okay, and that's where our building wiring is going to come out. All right, so now we have that drilled. Now we can take these cabinets here, we can put these in. So now if I put this one here and then the other one on this side, you can see the hole is completely covered. So why don't we get those put in and then we'll move on to the next. See, now we have all the walls themselves are done, and the only thing left to do now would be these center pieces and this countertop. Alright, so now I'm just going to take another mini brush, get one of these here, and we're just going to paint the bottom of the... You don't have to be super neat with this either. We're just going to do the two sides. I'm not going to worry about much else on this. And do the front because you can see it through the windows. And that'll sit like that. And then we have, this is our nice little countertop here. Alright, with the shiny black top. And that's it. So let's let that, put off to the side and let that dry. And something just hit me as I'm doing this, is I wanted to put the window glass in here first. So now I got to peel this back out. Right here, this piece. See, now that stuff holds in pretty solid. Maybe we'll end up leaving it. Alright, let me get the windows in here now. So let me get some sheet out for that and we'll get those windows in. Alright, so I actually had some second thoughts and I went back and I took out of this unit here, I took out this side of the interior, and what I did was I went and cut the glass that's going to go into the interior. So I cut it to size. Now I'm just going to glue this in real quick, and I'm going to do this other side here, and then we'll continue on. So in order to do that, back to the canopy glue, a little bit down on the paper. And we'll continue on. You just don't want to put it too thick and heavy on there so that when you set the glass in there, it doesn't squish out and squeeze out all over into areas where it's going to show. So we'll set that right down in there. Like that. And now we have the first set of windows in here. Yeah, you can kind of see the glare. So now I'm just going to do the second side here, and we'll put the rest of the interior back together. Alright, so now I'm just going to go back. I'm going to shut the camera off, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill in all the interior pieces now that you know what I'm doing, and we'll come back and take a look at it then. Alright, so all the interior is in now, and this is what we have. So when you look inside, this is what you see. It's not too bad, right? It's your refrigerator, cooler cases, there's the coffee thing, there's the store shelves. You look in it from the end, and we're doing pretty good. I think we're okay. I think I'm going to live with that. Now the next thing to do, and here's a top-down view of the whole thing. Right there. And that's it. And now you'll notice I also painted the tops of these shelving units here. I painted those black as well. I just don't want them to stand out from the rest of everything. I want everything to kind of blend in together. So now the only thing to do would be to add a few figures inside, and then we can move on to lighting and the roof. So why don't we call it done for today? I'm gonna let all this dry, and then next week we'll tackle the roof. Now the roof, I want to do something different than I've done in the past. I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna do roll roofing on the top of this. I'm not gonna do the sand. Here's the roof panel that goes on here, and this will just sit down in there. But I'm gonna do a roll roofing, a roof on top of this. So we'll deal with that next week, as well as the lighting that's gonna go inside. So that's gonna be it for this week. So until next week, happy modeling.